Hello, this is Virtualis the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. This is part 2 of Back Rank Checkmates. It's never too late to hang a back rank mate. In the last video, I managed to win through a back rank mate when my opponent made a mistake against my counterplay, where they had a completely winning position. In today's game, the same thing happens to me. Prior to my critical blunder, I had a plus 70 advantage, and then disaster. Please enjoy. Let's start with a quick review, chess.com's algorithm, and as you can see, I actually did pretty well in this game. Had a couple of blunders, but recovered, and then oh dear, what happened here? Neither of us played very accurately, but my opponent was in this game was rated in the 1700s, and here for myself at this point I was in the mid 1300s. So what happened? Let's have a look now at the analysis. I had the white pieces in this game, e4, an opponent played a g6, so modern defense, and I have to admit I really don't like playing against the hyper modern systems. So when I saw that my opponent was rated in the 1700s, them playing a hyper modern system, I thought I am probably going to lose this game, but let's just push on. So d4, take the full center. Yep, expected g6. I played f3 to defend, put an extra defender on that pawn. Opponent now played d6. I developed the other knight. They developed knight d7. And here I was starting to find this was a little bit interesting. So maybe my opponent, maybe they were just trying out the system, because I was thinking, I was pretty sure that developing, the knight d7 and then castling might have been the more usual process. So I thought, look, this seems okay. I have no problems. I developed my bishop f4. So apparently, a4 here was best. I have to admit, that's pretty obscure to me. They play c6, and I've got a small advantage here. I here thought, that's interesting. Let's straight up now strike in the center, because potentially I could just make that bishop look a bit silly if I'm able to block it in. Captures, and the opponent plays e6, which was apparently the blunder. I didn't know that it was a blunder, but I did know that potentially this was going to be okay for me, I thought. Here I decided to play queen d2, which was apparently not the best move. My logic here was that potentially I might end up trading if that knight goes out of the way. Opponent plays h6, so an inaccuracy. Here I thought, well, let's stop that by just by pushing h4. So apparently that was a mistake as well, and they play h5 now. I long castles, get the king out of the center, breaking the center while the king's still in the middle is probably not the best idea. Opponent now plays knight h6. Which I suppose was, I could understand why they made that move. Now I thought, what are we going to do? How are we going to end up doing this with threat on the queen? They play queen a5. Yep, so I suppose that pins that, but that's not really under threat at the moment. I thought I was being clever here, but apparently that was not a good move. Captures. And the opponent, he goes another blunder. So now almost +5. Though I have to again admit, this blunder is not particularly obvious to me. Here I play a bishop at d3. They capture that hanging pawn, which I suppose makes sense. I now capture the knight, so do a trade. And here I was expected they might potentially sort of double up their pawns. And now I've got a check. So I thought this was potentially good. I can see why that might be better, potentially pinning the knight to the rook. They play a bishop e6. And here I was thinking, I've got some real potential chances here. So yes, that square at the moment's defended by that knight. And, I obviously can't get the queen to that square because it's defended by both the rook and the queen, but I've got a commanding control of the center. Their king is still sort of hanging around the center, which is probably not good for them. And I was thinking, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make this work? And I decided to go full aggro, sacrifice the rook for that bishop, because I thought that this potentially is good for me. I thought that this just clears out one of their potential attackers here and gets rid of a defender around their king. So they capture back with the pawn, which makes sense. But now queen d6 as an infiltration. And I'm very gratified to see that Stockfish thought that that was indeed potentially a good move. They move the king to f4, and apparently that was also still a blunder. And the reason for that is now I've got a rook attack. Now, apparently that movement would have been better, and I suppose I can understand why. They move the king to g7, and apparently here I've got a mate in 6. I absolutely cannot see, that mate in 6. I could see elements of it, and what I really needed to do was, once I had some checks, I needed to bring the rook as well, and I didn't understand that in this game. I didn't see this in this game. Instead, I gave a check, expected the king to go there. I saw that that pawn basically stops that movement, but I was wondering, what's the best move here? What's the best thing I could do? I thought that maybe that was a move, and see, this is what I needed to do. I needed to get another attacker into the scheme. They brought it back, another check. It doesn't really quite work here. At least I thought I can capture that knight. So I was pretty sure I was doing well. And here I was really excited. I thought there must be a mating net here somewhere. Where is it? Where is the mating net? I just couldn't see it. And again, Stockfish, I needed to bring another attacker, and I just didn't realize this in this game. They bring the other rook to provide the fence, which I think makes sense. Again, here another check. They capture, and I capture back. And here I had the opportunity, could have captured back here with a check, and then there would have been a mate in 4. And basically, it's a bit of a shuffle between their rook and my queen. I bring the other rook up, and then it ends up being a win. But I didn't see that. I captured the wrong rook. They move now the queen to e5, basically to protect that diagonal. Here I finally saw I needed to bring the rook to d7. So potentially, if I could only get the queen in that position, that will be checkmate, because that one escape square is blocked off by that pawn. And now they've started to do some counterplay, pushing their pawns. And I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do here? I saw, is that a problem? No, I can always block with these 2 pieces. That was what I was thinking. Here, I wasn't sure what to do. Oh, let's just capture another pawn, get rid of some of their other defenders. And then they played b5. What am I going to do? Need to move that rook out of the way. And I made a mistake. Because that is a straight up back rank mate, and I had just lost sight of the fact that I had already moved my rook out of the way. So my 2 defenders on the back rank, I just moved out of the way. I thought that wasn't possible because the queen was just going to straight up capture the knight. However, of course, that's not the case, because the queen must stay on this diagonal to cover the g7 square, because that is a mate in 1. So from plus 70 to mate in 1, oh dear. So my 1700 rated opponent won after all. Good game, GG. In this game, I completely expected to lose, as I was randomly matched with a player rated in the 1700s, around 400 ELO points higher than me. As I played and realized that I probably had a winning position, I got really excited. But this was also mixed with some frustration, as I couldn't work out how to convert the position into a win. Then, when my opponent started advancing on my king's position, I basically cracked, carelessly playing a move that exposed my king to a back rank mate. I was really annoyed with myself, as I only took 20 seconds to make this terrible losing move when I still had over 20 minutes on the clock. I hope you found this game interesting, and thanks for watching.